Hello, creative friends. I just today wanted to come on and show you how to make a quadfold album that's a display album. It's been one of my most popular things. I think I posted a picture earlier this year. This was actually one of the projects that I did for Holiday Idea Book Reveal. And it's been very requested. The people that were here had a lot of fun making it. And I think that you'll enjoy kind of seeing how. It's not nearly as hard as it looks. So here is what it actually looks like. So I have this little belly band on it that I'll take off and then open it up. And it makes this nice display. This is it from the top. So this opens up. You can put it, I don't know if you can tell, it's pretty wide here. You can put it on a mantle or on a bookshelf. It's something that you can get out every year if you put, for example, Christmas pictures from this year or a year or two ago. This is pictures of us decorating our tree. It's been, I think, maybe 3 years ago. And so this will just be something that I'll save and get out each year and show these fun pictures of our tree from that year. What you're going to start with is a couple of sheets of black paper, or whatever color you want the bottom to be. I used black for this one because it really made all of this paper, this nice traditional Christmas paper, pop out. I have another one that I made with white paper using the Oh What Fun paper collection, and so again, that's just the color that really made those papers pop out. So whatever color you'd like to use that will coordinate with your Christmas paper. I chose black. And this is just a 12 by 12 sheet of paper that I've cut in half. So two pieces that are 12 by 6. And you're going to start by doing some scoring. And I scored this in 3 places. If you don't have a scoreboard, you can always just use your paper trimmer. At least the Fiskars brand have a groove right here that the blade runs in. And you can just use that with your bone folder. Line that up where you want it, and then just follow that groove with your bone folder, and that will give you a nice score mark. So you're going to score this at 2 inches, at 4 inches, and I go ahead and go all the way through. We actually, this piece right here in the middle stays straight, but what I found is it doesn't really matter because we're going to put some paper over that to make it stiff, so it's just easier just to go all the way through at 4 inches, all the way through, I'm sorry, at 2 inches, and then at 4 inches, and then it's at 8 and 10. To get those last two, you can just turn it around and do 2 and 4 again, or you can pull your arm out so that you can do the 8 and the 10. So you've got 4 score lines on each of the 6 by 12 pieces of paper. And now you're going to cut, and I've already done this one, but I'll show you. You're going to cut at 1.5 inches from each of the long sides, and you're only going to cut from that 2-inch score mark down to the 10-inch. So you're leaving the 2 inches on the ends intact. And what I found works is if you get this lined up at 1.5 inches, all the way up and down, and then start your blade somewhere here in the middle, and then just move it until you're just where this line on your blade, and if you have a little different paper trimmer, you might have to figure out what that line is, but the blade is right under this little horizontal piece. So if I line that up with the score mark, and I don't know if you can see that, so the score mark's right here, here's the line for the blade, I just stop there, and then I know that I stopped right at the 2 inches, and then I pull it down and do the same thing down at this end. So I'm cutting just from the 2 inches to the 10 inches. So again, you have 2 of these, and I've already done both of these. I have the 4 score marks, and then the cuts, and the cuts again are 1.5 inches from each of the sides. So this is kind of what it looks like when you get that done. So now you're ready to do the folding, and this is probably the trickiest part, but if you kind of say to yourself it's opposites, that helps out. So you're going to start at one side, and this top one is going to go up. So you're folding this one up, and then the next one on this little 1.5 inch piece down, up. So it's kind of mountain, valley, just kind of go opposite each time. So you get that from the top, and I've only done the folding on the top piece. This one is going to do the opposite, this one in the middle, so you're going to go down here So a valley, where this one had the mountain, and then this will be a mountain, and this a valley. And you don't have to fold this center piece, the two on the end, you don't actually fold that. This one, when I scored it, I actually left that unscored, but you're going to end up putting stuff over that. I think it's easier to just make your score marks all the way through, and that's fine. You just don't need to fold there. So this middle piece, you're only folding twice, and you're doing it the opposite of what you did on the top one. And then this bottom 1.5 inch, you're going to fold just like the top one. So valley, mountain, valley, mountain. So when you're all done, and you can just kind of fold that all together and get all of those creases really nice, maybe take your bone folder and go over them. If they're a little bit off, if it just feels a little crooked, you can kind of straighten it out at this point. But this is what you end up with, is two pieces that are just like this. Okay, and again, if you have any questions, just give me a holler. I can help you out with that. So then what you're going to do is you're going to take these two, and I haven't folded this one, so just pretend like it's folded the same, but if you notice, when you turn it this way, it changes. Here it's down. The first one is valley, and this one, the first one is the mountain. And what you want is you want the center to go up from each side. And then you're going to put these two next to each other, but not, just touching, but not overlapping. So that here in the middle, if you remember, these were each 2 inches wide, and this is a 6-inch piece of paper. So those two together gives you a 4x6, and that's the next piece of black you're going to need, is a 4x6 piece of black. And you're just going to attach it right over that seam. So you're attaching it to both of those, so that now you have a 24-inch long strip that has this 4x6 in the center, and then the two sides are going to come out opposite of each other. So this one looks like that, and then this one, if I had it all folded, it would fold in the same way, just backwards. So when you're folding them, you do them exactly the same. You just turn one of them upside down, and then they're opposite. Okay, then you go out here to the end of each one. We're going to make it just a little bigger. It's now 24 inches wide. We want it a little bigger than that. So you're going to take one more piece of black, actually two more, and each of these are 6x6. And you can see I made a score mark here right at 2 inches from one side. So 6x6 square, a score mark 2 inches from one side, and you're going to fold that. And that is going to attach to each end just under, it's actually going to overlap with this last 2-inch piece on the end. So that just adds one more 4-inch section out here on the end, and then you'd have another one on the other end. So altogether we now have, let's see, 24 plus 4 is 28, plus 4 more is 32. So this is now 32 inches wide, and that's really, that is the whole base. So it looks really complicated, especially once you add all your extra papers and everything. But if you notice, this is that center, that 4x6 piece center, where I, underneath here, the two just line up to each other. They touch but don't overlap. And then I covered that with a 4x6. Sorry, I just hit the camera. And then out here on the end, this is where I added that 6x6 piece, and it's overlapping here with the main page by 2 inches, and that added room for just one more 4x6 out here on the end. So this is one half of it, and then this is the other half, and they're just doing the same thing, just opposite of each other. So it all folds up like this once you're done, which gives it a nice finish. And then let me just talk just a second about how to decorate it. So each of these little rectangles, you can just think about the measurements. This was 1.5 inches tall when we did that cut, and it was 2 inches wide. So just subtract 1/4 inch from that, and you get 1 1/4 times, the width there would be 1.75 or 1 3/4 for these little red squares, and you can use whatever papers you have. This piece right here, well, this would be the other 1.5. So this all together was 6 inches tall. We take off 1.5 and 1.5 again. That's taking off 3. This section in the middle is 3 inches tall. Take a 1/4 inch off. It just makes it look nicer to have that black frame around it. So take a 1/4 inch off. That makes it 2 3/4. Oh, sorry. And then the width, the full width there is 2. So take off a 1/4 inch. That gives us 1 3/4 for this little piece. And just pick a different piece of paper that coordinates. Here I did solid cardstock. This width was 4 inches and the height was 1.5, so I subtract a quarter from each of those. I get 3 3/4 and 1 1/4 for this little piece of green, and again leaving that black outline just to make it look sharp. Here I put a picture, I cut it down. This whole section would be 3 by 4. So this section, the black piece, is 3 by 4. Again, take a 1/4 inch off and you get to 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. And you know, here's a couple more of the small ones. This is another one that would be 3 by 4. So I put a white piece of paper, subtracted off the quarters, so 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. These cuts right here are Cricut cuts. I cut those using our Christmas cartridge, Seasons of Joy. And I will put the link to the Design Space file for that. I kind of pieced together a couple different pieces of greenery using New England ivy and fern paper. So you get a little bit of contrast there with the greens. And then I also took this bow off of something else that was on that cartridge. I don't remember. I don't think it was originally with these. Maybe it was. But I pieced this together. So I'll put a link to that so that if you want to cut that out, you can. And then over here, this space is 4 by 6. I just trimmed my picture down. I actually trimmed it down a full, no, it is, let's see, I'm trying to think. I think it's a 1/2 inch smaller because the red would be a 1/4 inch smaller, so that I put a red mat. I just thought it looked a little dressier there. So the mat would be 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, and then my photo would be 5 1/2 by 3 1/2. And then I did something similar on this other half. I did make use of some of the Picture My Life cards. This is the 'Tis the Season paper that is in our holiday book, which by the way retires December 31st. So we just got a couple weeks left for this catalog. All of the papers on here come from that paper pack. Our paper packs include 2 sheets of Picture My Life cards. These are cards that you can cut apart. We've got 4 by 6s and then some that are 3 by 4. So I made use of this stocking one. On the back side, it's the vertical. All of these have horizontal on one side, vertical on the other. So there's that piece that I put right here in the middle of the stockings above our picture. And then I also thought these little pieces were cute, so I cut those out and put the wonderful here and the believe there. But you know, you can use whatever papers you have. Once it's folded up, if you are going to give this as a gift, you know, if you're just going to put it on your mantle or on a shelf or somewhere, you can just leave it like this. Just put it out, and then just make sure when you put it away for the year, if you're not going to leave it up all year, you know, you protect it. Maybe put it in a envelope or something. But if you're giving it as a gift, it's kind of nice to make a little belly band. And this is just made with a couple pieces of coordinating paper. This one I believe is 4 inches. Yes, 4 by 12. And then this one with the decorative is 3 by 12. And I layered those together like this. And then since the book altogether in theory is 8 inches wide, but it is a little thick, and as you can see, it didn't exactly meet in the middle, even though in theory it should have. You know, there's just always a little bit of extra. So I believe I made this 8 1/2 wide. So I scored over here and scored over here, leaving 8 1/2 in the middle. So I have that extra 1/2 inch to give it enough room to go around the album. And then once you do that, this back side, these are not going to meet, but I just took one of the PML cards. I used this one right here and trimmed it down and used that to cover that space where the 2 papers didn't meet. And so that gave me a complete belly band that I can put around it and makes it kind of pretty to give as a gift. And then the poinsettia that I put on the top, that is also from our Christmas cartridge. And then I just added some gold glitter gems in the middle. So that is it.